Welcome to the Workamper Show, a podcast devoted to helping you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. I'm Steve Anderson, the president of Workamper News. Each one of our episodes will either introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to opportunities to work short-term jobs. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Thanks, Steve. Today I'm going to talk with Workamper News editor Jody Anderson Duquette about how employers can find the best work campers for jobs they're looking to fill. This episode isn't just for employers. Work campers themselves will learn more about what type of people employers are hoping to find. Today's episode is sponsored by Workamper News. With its Diamond and Platinum membership tools, Workamper News is much more than just a job listing website. When you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. The one-year memberships open the door for a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with a community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then a Diamond or Platinum membership is for you. You can even get started with a free 30-day trial by visiting www.workamper.com/trial. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. As we start our discussion, Jody reminds employers of what work camping is and who work campers are. They're typically older people looking for part-time work to stay active and help reduce travel expenses. Many work campers select a location where they want to visit and then look for jobs in that area. So it's important for employers to describe the location and things people can do when they're not working. Communication is super critical for a successful experience for work campers and employers alike. That means acknowledging applications and notifying work campers about whether they got the job, and for work campers to respond to messages from employers. Interviewing people by phone or video chat can help employers determine if a work camper will fit in well with the team and to discuss the nuances of the job and compensation package. Compensation should be fair for all the work required. If work campers receive a free campsite that others pay $400 a month to enjoy, then it's not really fair to expect someone to work 40 hours a week, 4 weeks a month for that site. Once a hiring decision has been made, it's really important for employers to prepare work agreements that cover things like starting and ending dates, the number of hours to work, expected days off, what's included in the compensation, and etc. Putting everything in writing really helps to ensure that there are no misunderstandings later in the season. When recruiting work campers, if employers start looking earlier, then they have access to a greater number of qualified candidates. So don't wait until the end of March to try and find people to work in early June. When it comes to compensation, employers should write out everything that will be included. It could be wages, a campsite, utilities, free uniforms, discounts on food, an entertainment pass, free use of boats or other toys, basically everything that work campers might overlook in analyzing their compensation. This helps work campers understand the true value of what they're receiving for performing the job. There are a number of other ideas for employers to consider in recruiting and hiring the best work campers. To share those ideas with us, please welcome Jody Anderson Duquette, the editor of Workamper News, to the show. Thanks for coming on the show again, Jody. It's nice to have you back as a regular guest. Today we're going to talk to employers about ways to recruit good work campers. And that's something that's on everybody's mind when they're looking to hire work campers. And through the course of your involvement in Workamper News, you've uncovered some ways to help employers do just that, to find the best candidates for their positions. So let's talk about some of them. What do you think it starts with?
Absolutely, yeah. And just like with learning about how to work camp here at Workamper News, we want to help people, we want to help those businesses learn how to utilize work campers best in their operation. and develop that program that is going to maybe keep work campers coming back year after year, or bringing in the right work campers year after year to really benefit your operation. So the first is just understanding kind of who work campers are. And just like with the local workforce as well, there's really going to be a large variety of folks out there. A lot of work campers want to travel and see new experiences all the time. But there are some work campers who want to return to the same employer all the time. And so if you really build a relationship and, that work camper really enjoys your operation, you may have a work camper that will come back to you year after year after year. So work campers are really great. Oftentimes, they're still typically that, retirement age folks. Most work campers are still in the 61 to 70 or maybe 51 to 60 age range. And they've embarked on this RV lifestyle to see America and decided to do work camping to help them financially support that life.
Right. We should note that many of the work campers like work camping because they can go into a specific area and spend some time and really immerse themselves into the culture and the experience and do all that they can in that area before they move on. So their primary objective is generally to have a good time, right?
For sure.
But they also are willing to lend their experience and personalities, etc., and bring that to a job to help an employer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we've found in our surveys about 85% of work campers select a work camping job first based on the location. So it's always a good idea for employers when they are communicating with or advertising their opportunities to focus on their location, what there is to do in the area, and why folks would want to come and spend some time there. So location is very at the forefront of work campers' minds.
Right. And I know that, some adults or some work campers love children. Love to be around them and thrive on the energy that they create, and others are repelled by them. So if an employer has the likelihood that somebody is going to encounter a lot of children during the course of their season that they're working there, they need to be very upfront with that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we can talk a little bit more when we get into interviewing, but yeah, you want, as the employer, to provide as much information to that work camper ahead of time as possible. Now, there is some onus on the work camper. The work camper should be doing their research as well and learning as much as they can about the operation. But if you as an employer will take the time to dispense a lot of information to that work camper ahead of time in, the advertising, recruiting, application process, then it's just going to ensure that the people you're bringing to the table are going to be a better fit for you. Yeah.
Work campers, like you've mentioned, are known for their flexibility, but some employers kind of bend that a little bit and ask them to take on additional responsibilities that may not have been identified during the course of the interview. Is that a good thing to do?
No, and it is tough. Work campers come from all walks of life. You may have NASA engineers to stay-at-home moms to all sorts of folks enter this lifestyle. And so, you may hire a work camper who's going to come in just to kind of do maybe some general landscaping. And, you find out perhaps he was a plumber in his past life. And so now you would like him to undertake all of these, kind of plumbing activities that you would typically have to hire a contractor and pay X number of dollars an hour for. So if, that work camper is just working in trade for their RV site, but you want them to do all of this, enhanced plumbing or electrical or whatever activities.
Technical support.
Or that too, exactly. So just, if you do have work campers that have certain types of skills, just be cautious and don't overdo it. You don't want to end up, kind of burning that bridge. So just be cautious in the compensation packages that you're developing and the expectations that you have of your work campers.
Is there a formula for developing a compensation package?
Sure. So if you are considering providing an RV site or other non-monetary compensation as part of the compensation package, you do kind of want to figure out a basic dollar amount, an approximate dollar amount for those kinds of things. So you want to look at, especially if you're an RV park or campground, if you have a monthly rate or a seasonal rate, that's what you need to look at. So that dollar amount that you would normally charge your customer per month, or a seasonal rate, and take that, add in any other non-monetary stuff that you're providing, perhaps like maybe you're giving them electricity or some laundry discounts or propane discounts. Just try to kind of factor those things in to see, what am I actually providing as a dollar amount to my work camper per month, and then do the math to divide that by the number of hours you're requesting, and that kind of equates to what your hourly wage is. If you're going to provide wages on top of that, or maybe you're going to pay for all hours worked and you're just providing the RV site and everything else, then that's, all tops. But typically, certainly a work camper should not have to pay more in hours worked for their RV site than what you get from your normal camping customers. So that's kind of the main thing that you want to watch out for is you're not undervaluing them in that way.
I would think that employers would want to consult with their accountants or with an attorney prior to embarking on a work camper program, just so they understand what the nuances of their state's laws are.
Yes.
Because, we're pretty aware of what's going on at the federal level, but still there are some things that each individual state, can you include this as compensation? How do we have to account for that tax-wise,
right,
etc.? What can I deduct? What can't I deduct? So it'd be good for them to do that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And determining how to treat your work campers. If you're, requiring them to work certain days and hours, then that's treating them more as an employee, which would warrant a W-2, where if they can kind of come and go and they're assigned specific projects that they just get done when they can, then perhaps you can treat them as a contractor and 1099 them. But again, that's a conversation with the accountant. And then if you are providing those non-monetary wages, it is the state level. As far as the barter situation goes, you need to know what your state laws are regarding that.
Right. And work camping is no different than hiring another employer. So you still can't engage in those prohibited labor practices by discriminating against, race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, sexual orientation, national orientation, or whether they're a Packer fan or not. Right?
Exactly. All of those things.
All those things.
All of those things. Yeah. Okay. And employers, just when creating your help wanted ad text, if you are going to be openly advertising, just being cautious in your verbiage not to include things like married couple, or perhaps say handy person instead of handy man, just to be sure you're covering your bases and not, creating any feistiness from anybody.
That makes sense. You don't want to invite any imperial entanglements.
Exactly.
As we quote from Star Wars.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
One thing that I think is important for employers to do, and this has almost become a lost art, Jody, and that is to acknowledge people who apply.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've submitted the application because they're interested in working there, and they may have stopped submitting applications other places, hoping that your company is going to respond to them. So it's really important for them to acknowledge the application and maybe tell them, up front that, it's not really right at this time, or whatever the case might be, or we've already filled the position, just so the work campers know to move on and look for something else.
Certainly, yeah. And even if it's just, you receive that emailed resume in, or maybe somebody called and left you a voicemail, just try to get back to them. Even if you can't do, the full-blown interview or whatnot at that time, just shoot a quick email reply back. Hey, I received this. Please expect a response from me within the next X period of time. Acknowledging that you received their inquiry goes a long way, and kind of setting an expectation of when you hope to get back to them. We certainly understand, employers range from small mom and pop operations where the owners are doing all of the recruiting and the admin and the bookkeeping and the maintenance and all the things, to larger entities that have HR departments that have people dedicated to recruiting the work campers. So it's really a big range. So we know, those of you who are wearing all the hats of a business, you're like the last thing I have time for is to respond to all these work campers. But please try to, if you can. And if you are one of those folks sitting in an HR department with 3 other people, I really hope you guys are responding to all of your applicants.
Right. It's just common courtesy. It
Yeah.
really is. Because, the
Yeah.
last thing you want to say is somebody encountering work campers and talking to each other, and they say, oh, I really want to work over here. And somebody else saying, well, yeah, I applied twice and never heard a word from them.
Exactly.
Right. It sends
yeah.
a bad message.
Work
that
campers
way.
talk. But it does go both ways. We understand there
Yeah.
are employers that contact work campers because they found their resume in a database or read their work wanted ad on our website, and the work camper never gets back to the employer.
Right.
So
Yep.
we harp on the work campers as well to please respond to all of the employer inquiries that they receive, and to keep their resumes updated and things like that, because we don't want anybody wasting anybody else's time. That's not the
right.
goal here. So.
That's a very good point, Jody, because it really says something if an employer is contacting a prospective employer. It's like, I'm really interested in hiring you, and if you don't even respond or acknowledge that, it really says something about you, and it's a real snub to the employer.
Exactly, because employers talk as well. So,
Right.
It's in the employer's best interest to be responsive as well. It's all about communication.
What does the interview process really involve? I mean, should employers really take the time to delve into? I mean, these are people who are only going to work, a couple of months. Is it still important to pour into their background and their history and all of that?
Yeah, I know. And some employers, especially the ones that are just so busy doing all the things, like it's easy to just be like, oh, I'll just send a couple emails and the resume looked okay, so it'll probably be fine. But you really want to spend some time communicating with that applicant. And if you can do a phone interview or, an online interview, there's so many ways to communicate now, especially even with webcams and stuff, is even more prevalent now than it used to be. So even getting that visual with that work camper is even easier than before. And these people are typically, hundreds or 1,000 miles away. You're not going to be able to meet with them in person. So you really need to do that phone or that online interview to get a feel for how they speak, what their mannerisms are like, and if your personalities are going to be a match. And if you really want to help ensure that that work camper is a fit, have whoever their manager or supervisor is going to be, have them communicate with those work campers as well. Especially for some of the operations that are only hiring maybe a smaller number of work campers, that's even more important. If you're only hiring 3 couples and one of those couples doesn't get along with your manager or assistant manager, that's gonna create more havoc and waste more time for you during your season.
Exactly.
So the more legwork you can do ahead of time, the better it's going to be. And so I know it can be a hassle to check references and all of that stuff, but you really want to take the time to do it. There are some stinker work campers out there. We know it happens. And so the more information you can get ahead of time, the better. And as far as references go, past history goes, with our resumes in the Workamper News database, we do have a level of membership for our work campers where they enter their work history into their resume, and then Workamper News will call to verify that work history entry. Mm-hmm. So you as an employer, when you're a gold member and you're searching our resume database, you can check a box to only see resumes that have verified work history entries on it.
That's huge.
Yeah, so we have taken the time to contact that employer, ensure that the work camper worked for that employer the X date to X date, and then we ask that employer if that work camper was a rehire or not. Sometimes they can answer, sometimes they can't, and so that will be indicated there on their awesome applicant's resume. So we're trying to help, take some of that legwork out of the way for you guys, but if they don't already have those kind of verified references, then that's something that I would definitely recommend you guys do, is call those references.
I know we're in a weird situation for employers right now, because there's such demand for employees and for workers that it may be tempting for an employer to say, oh my goodness, we need so much help so quickly. If this person can fog a mirror, he's hired. But that is such a mistake for the company, because especially if the work campers are going to be interacting with customers in any way and they're representing your company, you really want to make sure that they're the type of people who are going to represent your company in the right way.
For sure. Absolutely. And in that interview process, you want to do what you can to take the time to answer all of the Workampers questions. And like I said, give them as much information as possible about the RV site, about the working environment. You should know the expected hours that you want them to work, the duties you want them to do, start and end dates. That kind of information definitely needs to be dispensed in that process.
And get it in writing.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yes.
That's what that old Chinese proverb is, the faintest pen is better than, what I can't remember.
The strongest sword,
that's
probably.
Right, exactly, something to that effect. But yes, to have all of that outlined, it just causes problem or avoids problems later on.
It can definitely help. Yeah. So we have, it's called a work agreement or a letter of understanding. We do have a sample available at workamper.com that you can model off of. But it's just, again, laying out those expectations. And then, so typically as the employer, you will write that up for the Workampers that you have extended a job offer to. And so you'll have them sign it and you will sign it. And so then, if things are flowing and going in the season, but perhaps, the Workamper isn't fulfilling one of those expectations that you had discussed, you can bring them in and then utilize that work agreement to start the dialogue to communicate about how you all together can get things back on that same page.
That's right. And another example might be if an employer says in an interview, we will try and give you 4 days off in a row with our scheduling, but we really can't do that during our busy season, and all the Workamper hears, or the prospective Workamper is I get 4 days off in a row every week.
Right.
So those are the kinds of things that you really want to put in writing so that there is no misconception and misunderstanding.
Yeah. And especially if you're hiring Workampers that have experience, they've worked at other locations before that are perhaps a similar industry to your operation. Well, the places they've worked at before may have been operated completely differently than how you do things. So just because the Workampers maybe done maintenance or worked in an office or whatever, the way your operation is may be different. And so having the Workampers make assumptions about your operation, or you making assumptions that the Workamper knows what to do for you, is not a good place to work from. So again, it may feel like a hassle and take a lot of time, but again, just getting that communication done ahead of time is going to save you some heartache and some headache in the long run.
Is it beneficial to contact references?
I think so. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Employers are pretty adept now at reading between the lines.
Sure.
So would you hire this individual again? This individual worked for my place from January or from April to October. Would you hire him again? This individual worked at our place from April to October.
Right.
Okay, got it. I understand.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right. And something to think about too, that maybe I should have mentioned before is with recruiting Workampers, you need to start early. And a lot of our employers, and this year's 2020 and 2021 have been kind of a crazy time, but especially right now, it's early spring and employers are trying to get their Workampers for the summer season, like right now. And it's like there's no Workampers left to be hired. So Workampers typically will begin looking for their opportunities 6 months or more before the start date.
Usually when they arrive at their their current job.
Yeah.
Is when because they know they're going to end soon and they're going to need something after that.
Yeah. So if you are wanting to recruit people for a summer season, typically April, May through September, October, you need to begin your recruiting like the fall or at the latest, like December, January. That's when you should begin your recruiting. And employers, you can't just... Sometimes you can run just one ad and get what you need. Again, it kind of depends on how many Workampers you're looking for. If you're only maybe looking for one couple, you might get away with running one ad really early on and find the right ones. But if you are a program that maybe is looking for,
dozens,
5 to 10 Workampers up to, especially if you're looking for maybe hundreds of Workampers, you guys need to develop a presence in the community. So you need to be consistently advertising throughout the year. And that can be as simple as little text ads in our magazine, or, run in a hotline ad every other month. And you don't necessarily have to say our start date is May 1st or our end date is October 15th. If you don't know exactly what your start dates are, you can at least give people a general idea of what your season is.
Right. Because, it's all weather related, right? So if you've got
most often, yeah.
If you're up in the northern states and it's known to really snow in May, it might delay your opening a little bit. But,
absolutely. And we've had some employers as well that thank their current season work campers in their ad. So it's the middle of the summer. You run an ad saying, we're having an awesome time with our work campers this summer. Thank you to our work campers who are here and making things happen for summer 2021. We're now going to start recruiting for summer 2022. And so as a work camper, reading that ad where the employer has paid for an ad to essentially thank their work campers. I mean, technically you're advertising for yourself, but it looks like you paid for an ad to thank your work campers.
Right.
How does that make you look in the eye of other work campers? So again, it's developing your presence and your brand in the community. It's just like advertising your business to try to get normal customers. You can't just take a one and done approach most of the time.
Right. Would it be beneficial for employers to really outline what the compensation includes and just put everything in there, things that they don't think really matter, just to let the employer know that this is part of,
let the work camper know.
Right,
Yeah.
Super. So
yes, for sure.
It can be, the value of the RV site, right, would be one big thing. But does it include the electricity, water, cable, and what would the equivalent charges be, or something to that, to help the work camper understand what the value is in this compensation? Do you offer discounts on food? Is it while you're working, or when only, or all the time, kind of thing? And just really put that in there so that people can make an informed decision about what the value of this job is.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's even true for volunteer positions, where you think, we're not offering anything but an RV site. You're offering a full hookup site in a tourist area where it would be very difficult or expensive to get an RV site for a season, let alone, for a week, let alone a season.
Definitely. And I think a lot of us, business owners tend to get too close to their business. They don't always see all the things, or things become just too mundane to them and they don't even, think to include it. So I think that is important, Greg, to sit down and write out what it is you will provide or have provided to your work campers.
Right.
And it can be little things, potlucks or little gift cards or things like that here and there. All of that has value. And
free laundry.
Exactly. And the work campers love that kind of stuff.
Uniforms, so we don't have to use our own clothes kind of thing. Right.
Exactly. All of those things add value to the compensation package that you're providing and should be thought about and mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a campground and you rent boats, for example, and your work campers can take a boat out when it's not busy or whatever the case might be, that's a value that many of the work campers would overlook when evaluating a position. So if the employer makes that aware, they're really selling themselves, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. That's a really good thought.
Cool.
Yeah.
Also important to note that the work campers are not exempt from the labor laws, and we've talked about that a little bit already.
Yep.
And it's really important for them to talk to their accountant or their lawyer to do that, or more importantly, their state association or the association that they belong to.
Yeah.
That are very familiar with the laws and the rules and the regulations, if not in that state, certainly for that industry.
Agreed. Yep. So the state campground RV park associations, or the Association of Recreational Vehicle Campgrounds, arvic.org, kind of the overseeing entity for that, are good resources for a lot of things. Yeah.
A good reference, though, is the Internal Revenue Service puts out publication 525, which talks about compensation for meals and lodging, and they provide they address some of the nuances that come into that.
Yes.
Again, it's open to interpretation in 1,000 different ways, but at least it gives the employer an idea of what they can legally provide, right?
Exactly.
Super.
Yep, that's a good reference for them to check out.
So once hired, what do we want them to remember?
I want them to communicate. And so as we talked about, if you're hopefully doing things good and you're recruiting well in advance, maybe you're hiring your work campers, 3 to 6 months before the start date. Check in with those work campers. Just send them a text here and there or an email here and there, just checking in to see how things were going. Or if their birthday's coming up, send them a little birthday message. Or if you're an operation that closes down for the winter and you start to gear things back up for the summer, send them a message that's like, hey, here's a picture of such and such that we're getting ready for the summer season, or we just made this improvement and I wanted to show you. So start engaging them before they even arrive to your operation. And so that's just going to develop a sense of belonging and is also going to keep you alert to any changes that work camper may have had. Because we know there are the really unfortunate situations where work campers are, no-shows to employers. And that it hurts my heart, but it happens. And sometimes it's a family emergency or an RV, something happened with their RV or whatnot. And some work campers are great at communicating with their employer. Hey, I'm so sorry, this came up. Can we revise our start date? Or we can't come because of my mother. Some are really good about communicating and some are not. So you as the employer also have to take some ownedness in communicating with your hires before they arrive.
That's a good point.
And if you're a bigger operation, I know there's some employers where they've created like a little monthly newsletter that they email out. Or, it's so easy to just record a little video, put it on YouTube or something and email it out. Like, hey, I just wanted to walk you around the Workamper RV sites. Here's what it looks like. It's easy to come up with little things like that.
It's really important if a work camper is making a recommendation for an improvement and then they go ahead and make that improvement.
Ooh, that's fun.
To follow up through and say, when you had mentioned, here are the improvements we had made, here are the improvements we made based on your recommendations.
Cool, yeah.
Really sends a strong message.
Yeah.
What about referrals,
absolutely.
Jody? Do employers, should employers ask for referrals?
I think so. And
From everybody?
Yeah. If you had a maybe work camper that didn't quite work out, I don't, but yeah, there's certainly, it's a great idea to develop a referral program because work campers certainly talk to other work campers. Those of you, no RVers are a chatty bunch. So I think a lot of work campers, they go to work for an employer, they have a positive experience and they want to go back. They're going to try to get their friends to come with them.
Right.
So yeah, having a little bonus. A lot of folks, it's easy to do cash or a gift card. But as you've learned, Greg, creating some kind of experience to reward that person who referred you some good work campers goes a long way.
And I agree when they're talking to each other because they may have had a great experience at a work camping job in California and now they're doing a work camping job in Florida with somebody else who's never been to California, and you talk it up and say, well, I worked for this great job here in California. I'll bet you I could put in a good word for you with an employer if you wanted to work there. Doing that referrals, it works so effectively both ways.
Yeah, and that's just another way. Again, we're talking about building your brand within the community. And something too at the end of your season when you're doing your exit interviews.
Important to do.
Right, in my opinion. I know some of you are like, oh my gosh, really? But yes, when you do your exit interviews and perhaps write out your letters of recommendation for the work campers that stuck with you, ask those work campers to share their experience online. We have some avenues at workamper.com where work campers can talk about their hopefully positive experience they had working for you. And so request that they do that they share, in their social media groups or like you said, the referral program, create your own referral program. That's just another way for you to get out there in this work camping community and hopefully positivity getting out there in the community.
Because when work campers are doing their own experience, they're going to start online by Googling the company name or whatever the case might be, and whatever they can find buried into Google and all these other websites, they'll find it.
Yes.
And so that'd be very good advice.
Exactly.
So, super.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, Jody. I really appreciate it. It's good advice for the employers, and we hope they take advantage of these ideas to enhance their work camping program.
Yeah, and we're happy to help.
I'd like to thank Jody Anderson Duquette for coming on the show to talk about how employers can find the best work campers for their businesses. As a general rule, work campers are older folks who get into the RV lifestyle to travel and see America. Many work campers don't need full-time jobs, but they do want to work to keep active and bring in some money to help reduce their travel expenses. Above all, work campers really want to have fun on the job and off. They like to work, but not all the time. Work campers want to explore and enjoy the areas they are visiting. Communication is so important to a successful work camping experience. It starts with identifying specific job duties work campers are expected to perform, when they arrive, whether there are adequate cell phone signals in the area, whether there are restrictions on pets, kids, or things people can have in their campsites, like boats. Just be honest and lay everything out to help work campers make informed decisions before committing to a job. For example, if a business attracts a lot of children, then employers should be upfront about that because being around a lot of kids all day, every day, can be rather stressful for some work campers. One thing many employers often fail to do is outline everything that is included in a compensation package, such as things people might not consider. For example, it's one thing to say work campers get a free campsite, but it's another to describe it as a free 30 by 90 foot paved patio site with water, sewer, 50 amp power, free high-speed wireless, and access to a lake and one of the most popular vacation destinations in the state. Jody mentioned exit interviews as being something employers should do because it's a great way to get honest advice about the operation, and it's also an opportunity to end the season on a good note. Who knows, a great work camper might be instrumental in referring others to the employer's business, if not to work, then to support his customers. Employers should start recruiting early to have the best opportunity to lock in work campers for the next season. So double check your job listings now to see if there's a way to be more descriptive about what the job entails and what's really attractive about the business and the local area. The Work Camper staff can help employers design the best ads to attract some great work campers. Feel free to call them today at 800-446-5627. Today's episode is sponsored by The Dreamer's Journey. It's a new online course and community produced by Workamper News. Life is way too short to keep your dreams on hold, so don't be held back by fear because you were designed for more. Get started in the RV lifestyle the right way with this comprehensive guide. For just $29.95 for 90 days of access, Dreamers have unlimited viewing of 50-plus videos to learn things like what type of RV to buy, goal setting, how to budget for the adventure, developing a positive mindset, setting up a domicile, operating a small business on the road, plus everything about work camping and how to find the right job for you. Each video is 30 to 90 minutes long, giving in-depth coverage on each topic. There's no wrong time to get started. For more information, visit www.rvdreamersjourney.com. That's all we have for this week's show. Next week, I'll be speaking with a couple of work campers who are working at Dollywood. I'll have that interview next week on The Work Camper Show. Thanks for listening.